What's going on, everybody? It is May 12th. It's a Tuesday. Hope you're doing well. So, something interesting going on with the Johnny Depp stuff. I really wasn't planning on making a Johnny Depp video today until I came across some pretty interesting information that I thought was worth talking about. So, I got this channel brought up for a reason. I want to talk about some stuff involving him. This is a great channel, by the way, if you're interested in some really in-depth stuff when it comes to Depp and Heard. He's made some really, really good videos on the topic. I would suggest checking him out if you're looking for some really informative stuff. Now, I haven't pulled up for a reason other than just chilling his channel. It's the fact that a New York Times reporter is going after him and several other people that like to defend Johnny Depp. Now, that's not too surprising. It was going to happen eventually because this is going against the grain. Amber Heard is a lady, and she's a big figurehead for the METOO movement. So naturally, eventually, these shill journalists are going to come out and they're going to protect her, or they're going to do their best. Now, recently, there's been a big rumor that she's been fired from Aquaman 2. I don't know if that's true or not. There's a lot of people chatting about it, that it might have happened. I can't say it's happened for sure. Now, I do know, I did a video on this yesterday. There was a guy, Heroic Hollywood's editor-in-chief, the guy who owns it, came out and said, she's not fired, and he used his own word as a source. It's really strange. So I made fun of that. There is a petition, though, as you can see here, getting pretty close to that 500,000 mark, gets hits every day. I think that's impressive. But these kinds of petitions also seem to be what this reporter is trying to go after. So she's asking a lot of questions to people involving Adam Waldman, who's on Twitter apparently. I think this is Johnny Depp's lawyer. This is his lawyer's name. And he only follows one person, has over 1,000 followers, barely any tweets. I cannot confirm if this is him or not. I think it might be. He's interacting with several people in the Johnny Depp defending community, otherwise known as hashtag Justice for Johnny Depp. So I'm not sure. But what I do know is that several supporters of Johnny Depp are putting out tweets like this. This is at Laura B over on Twitter. It says, at Rachel Abrams, New York, do not attempt to contact me again. I didn't appreciate your tracking down my husband's cell phone and calling him at work. First, leaving a voicemail. Then, in your impatience, you texted him. Any information I've gleaned on JD or AH has been via the public domain. This is a retweet of one from Brian McPherson, who appears to be the guy who runs Incredibly Average here, which, like I said, is a very underrated channel. He gets a lot of views, but not a lot of subscribers. I don't know what's going on there. The channel's coverage of this situation is amazing. These are probably the best videos you'll watch on the situation. But what I'm saying here is she's retweeting him, and he actually has DMs where he's talking with Rachel Abrams that I'll go over in a second. So Adam responds to her and says this, rare that you get to watch corruption in action, Miss Abrams. You are writing a story about online protest petitions that I have had nothing to do with, and their creators or signatures must be an inconvenient fact for whomever sent you. Why haven't you contacted me? So I do believe that's probably his lawyer. Like I said, I can't confirm it. I can't confirm it is or isn't, but he does appear to be talking to people that are heavily involved in the situation involving at least covering and defending Johnny Depp. And there's several tweets by Laura that Miss Abrams here has contacted her several times, several members of her family, as well as Brian McPherson here, the guy who runs Incredibly Average. It says here, Rachel Abrams, New York, do not attempt to contact me, my wife, or other family members via telephone or any other means. This is no longer borderline harassment. It is harassment. You go down here, she's contacting your family, and Brian says, yes, multiple members. He responds to his tweet also right here, says, we have already written over DM. I asked you your story angle, and you refused to provide it. So it was a conversation you chose not to continue honestly and in writing. Now the red flags continue. And he shares these. So I'm aware of several online petitions pertaining to this case. It says, I see. Thank you for sharing that with me. I also noticed that you and Adam Waldman follow each other on Instagram. Have you ever spoken with him? Brian responds, and I'm assuming this is Brian. He says that these are his DMs here in the tweet. What is the angle of the story that you're writing? He says, well, I have some questions about some of the social media posts that I've seen. You are one of the few people who seems to be connected to Mr. Waldman. So I was curious if you'd ever spoken with him about the Depp-Heard disputes. Would love to chat, even if it's on background. I don't have to quote you or tell anyone we spoke. And then he responds, off the record, which applies to all my communications with you, I asked you for your angle, and you just asked me more questions. I'm happy to communicate with you about the case, which I have been following at a granular level for years. But please do tell me what your story angle is. Thank you. She responds, I'm still not doing reporting, so I'm not sure what I'll eventually write. The reporting dictates what the story is. Right now, I'm just curious whether Mr. Waldman has any connection to anyone who has been tweeting passionately about this particular dispute. Have you spoken with him about Amber Heard and Johnny Depp? And he responds, Ms. Abrams, the New York Times is writing me, asking me questions about a Johnny Depp Amber Heard case about which I've made 10 videos over a period of approximately 18 months, claiming to have no angle in mind. I don't know why you would expect me to believe that. Maybe you should come back to tell me when you're ready to tell me what your story angle is, and I will consider engaging with you on your storyline once you've decided to tell it to me. Thank you, Brian. She responds, okay, understood. Well, like I said, right now I'm trying to find out what the connections Adam Walden has, if any, to some of the people tweeting about Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. I'd love to know what kind of relationship you have with him and how you first connected. My cell phone, again, is blanked out. Thank you. And he responds finally, Miss Abrams, the more you write me, the more confused I get about what you are really trying to accomplish. You claim to be writing a New York Times story on Johnny Depp's lawyer's connections with Twitter users. That doesn't sound like an NYT story at all. Actually, it does. New York Times is kind of garbage, Brian. You'll learn this eventually. If not, maybe you already know it, but they're all corrupt. I'm going to go over some of her articles after this. You claim to be writing a New York Times story on Johnny Depp's lawyer's connections with Twitter users. That doesn't sound like a NYT story at all. I see you have written for both Deadline and Variety. I also see you have written glowingly about Miss Heard's talent agency, WME. Its founder, Ari Emanuel, and Miss Heard's ex-boyfriend, Elon Musk. There are red flags popping up in my mind suggesting one or all of these people are entities have sent you to write an anti-Johnny Depp story. If you can convince me otherwise and tell me your actual story angle, then I will engage with you. So what I've gathered from looking into this is it appears that Rachel C. Abrams is going to, or has intents, in my opinion, to write a smear piece on Johnny Depp's fans that have been supporting him and try to probably, from the way it's sounding from these DMs, is she's going to try to say that his lawyer is orchestrating all of this bad PR for Amber Heard. Her connections to her talent agency and several things, it does look like she's going to come to Heard's defense, which she could probably use because, in all honesty, those tapes that got released on her didn't help her at all. This is why she probably will get fired from Aquaman 2. But it does look like that's what's going to happen. So she's going to try to write some grand conspiracy that Depp's lawyer is the guy behind all of the good, positive PR for Johnny on YouTube and on Twitter, and that somehow he's involved with this petition. But what's really crazy is the extent that Miss Abrams is going to talk to these people. She's calling these people's jobs, multiple members of their family. As far as they're claiming, I honestly don't see any reason not to believe them, because these journalists are ruthless. They try to cancel people, destroy people's lives. I see no reason not to believe these people on this. She hasn't contacted Depp's lawyer, as far as he's claiming, if that's him, and I do think it is. So it's just interesting to me that the New York Times is allowing stuff like this, like just bothering these people. I mean, Brian's videos are very popular. You see they have a lot of views, but his subscriber base isn't that large. It should be larger, in my opinion. Should check out his channel. But anyway, I went through a lot of the articles that Abrams has been attached to. She wrote a couple like this. So here's one about Kobe. Here's another one about Kobe. So what does this have to do with anything? So in this one particularly, she's kind of defending the journalist who smeared Kobe Bryant hours after he passed away. There was one journalist in particular that made some really nasty tweets talking about, oh, don't ever forget that Kobe did this to a woman once, which, was never proved or he never had he was never found guilty of anything. That doesn't stop people from smearing him. And it was right after he passed away. It was really nasty, really upset a lot of people. I mean, she practically writes a puff piece about it right here. I found that kind of funny. I mean, it shows the angle that she's going to take on here. There's no way that whatever she writes is going to be pro Johnny Depp. Let's be serious here. And I find it crazy how she's just going after people's families and work. It's kind of disgusting. So my advice to anybody that's watching this, if she's coming to try to talk to you, don't even bother. Don't even bother. Just ignore her. Let her write her article. She's going to write it no matter what anyway. It's going to be smears. That's all it is. She's just going to smear everybody. It's going to be a puff piece for Amber Heard and to try to put the fire out for her, but it's not going to work. Amber Heard is just she's dug too big of a hole for herself, and it's just not gonna do anything for her. But I would say that there's probably for sure a hit piece coming from the New York Times, and it will be pretty nasty. And it does look like it's going to try to say that Adam Waldman is involved in all of this stuff and that he's probably paying me and all these other people. It's going to be a smear job. So that's pretty much it. I got nothing else. I just wanted to go over this and talk about it, kind of just highlight what these people are going through. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Make sure you check out Incredibly Average, and thanks for watching. Leave me your comments. What do you think about this? Are you surprised? Are you shocked? I'm sure you're not. Let me know your thoughts on that. Also, if you would, throw a like up, share the video. Make sure you're still subscribed. Subscribe if you're new. Hit that notification bell, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace. Also, if you want to help support the channel, check out my Teespring store. There's a link in the description. You can find some merchandise in there that you might want to check out. Also, take a moment. Make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. There's something going on right now, and they've been unsubscribing people. So just take a second and double check on that, and subscribe if you're new.